Hi everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Behind the Worlds. Today, I'm really excited to welcome Andrew. I've met Andrew about a year ago. He's worked on very famous franchises such as Harry Potter. He worked with the creator of The Simpsons, worked at Electronic Arts, and he has amazing stories to share with us today. Welcome, Andrew.
Hey, thanks, Ahmed. Glad to be here.
Yeah, sure. You've had an incredible career. You've worked in lots of different places. You've been an employee, you've been a founder, you've been an investor. There's so much that you can tell about yourself. But I guess maybe to start with, can you explain to us, give us a pitch of yourself in 2 minutes?
Yeah, for sure. I would say that at the end of the day, I am someone who loves systems, any type of systems. I grew up, media was my parent. I grew up on cable. I grew up on DVDs. I grew up on video games. It was the media explosion era.
Yeah,
And my whole life is weaved in and out of stories that I've seen, whether it was The Secret of Nim or The Black Cauldron or Ghostbusters or whatever. It's I knew that I wanted to live in media. I wanted to live in storytelling. And then I think the systems side of me and the creative side of me came together in
yeah.
gaming, first as a marketer, right?
Okay.
Which was a
Yeah,
whole journey, then as a product developer, then as a studio operator, and then
yeah.
as the systems builder. So but I've been doing systems the whole time through it, but that's really, an AI, obviously, which that's not what we're here to dive
We won't
into
touch on it. We
entirely
have to.
today. Yeah, kind of takes all of that
Yeah.
into play also. So it's a really rich era for me, which is very exciting. But I'd say that's kind of what, no matter what I'm doing, it's creative and systems.
That's awesome. Yeah. As I mentioned at the beginning, you've done a lot of incredible things in your career. And, when I meet people
Thank you.
like you, I always have a hard time where to focus the conversation on. So I'm gonna, do my best. I guess maybe the first thing is I know, but I don't have many details. So this is going to be interesting. You've worked on launching Harry Potter on mobile. And
Yes,
you've worked directly with, I don't know if it was you, but you worked directly with J.K. Rowling, the writer of Harry
we
Potter.
had to convince her that, and the
Okay.
WB
Yes.
team and her agent to act, because to that point, she was the only person who wrote lore for the Harry Potter universe. No one
Yeah.
else had. And in
Yeah.
order to make an RPG, and this was pre Hogwarts Legacy, which is the
Yeah.
big console game, right? We were the first guinea pig for extending the universe without her being. She has she's always had incredible creative control over
Right.
the franchise, and that's why the quality of the merchandise and the theme park experiences and everything was always so amazing. But when it came to that real lore extension, where it wasn't just coming from the books or the movies, that hadn't really been done before. Our
So
team
yeah, so how
attempted
did
it.
it go? Exactly. So how did it go? How do things like that work? Okay, is it that in a studio you wake up one day and you're like, you know what, we want to launch Harry Potter on mobile? If yes, and then what happens? Do you go talk to her directly? How does the convincing work? Has there been some challenges? I'm really interested to learn about that.
Yeah, well, in IP licensing in general or co-development, basically, whenever you're a creative that wants to leverage someone else's IP to create a product, there's a process where you have to first, as you were saying, understand whether you want to do it, which is
Okay.
its own crazy process, right?
Yeah.
Of because it's just any type of product green light, especially now you have a third party IP that adds all this other crap. And by the way, an intellectual property, Harry Potter is an intellectual
Of
property,
course. Yeah.
right? Yeah, and it's whenever it adds all these constraints and all this because you have to. It's someone else's. It's not yours. You can't just do whatever you want. So
For
you
sure.
make that decision. And with Harry Potter, it's not like we had to run a crazy process internally.
Okay.
It's the white whale.
It's
No
clear.
one
It's
had
clear. Everybody
no
wants
one.
to launch Harry Potter.
Yeah, and no one had done it on mobile yet. So it's even more can we get this, is it even possible, how do we get it done? So you don't have to do a lot of math to be
Yeah.
should I get the Harry Potter license? You just be how the heck do I get it done? How do I do it? And what you do is usually you have to have a relationship with
Okay.
they have to trust you somehow, whether you've built an insane capability in launching games or whatever product, whether it's a mug or a t-shirt or a video game, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, different production, capacities. You need to have proof and they need to trust you. And
Yeah.
they need to know that you're going to be a good steward of the brand, that you're going to
Right.
actually give a shit, that you're going to show up and care, that you're going to do a good job. But if you think about it, there's when you're dealing with an IP like Harry Potter, there isn't just one layer. There's like tons of layers,
Okay.
right? It's not just Warner Brothers. It's not just J.K. Rowling. It's J.K. Rowling is the fulcrum of one side as the like creative owner. Then you have an entire organization at Warner Brothers that is licensing, that is
Mm,
brand management, that is creative management. Then you have J.K. Rowling's agency, which is the Blair Partnership, and they
okay.
manage her business affairs and they have their own creative. And within WB, you've got marketers, you've got
Of
analysts,
course.
you've got financial people, but ultimately it's like I had a relationship trying to get deals done with their head of licensing, this guy, Ben Elliott, who's been there and does an incredible job. He's like a one-man army. It's like he has help, but he never has enough help, in my opinion, right? Like he's always doing the work of like 1,000 people. And I worked with him, but then I also met, it's like you have to, it's like SaaS sales. You have to like infiltrate their organization and build trust, right?
Okay. That makes
Across
sense. Yeah.
it. And then the lucky break for us came, Andreessen Horowitz was Tiny Co's main investor, and Mark Andreessen was on the board.
Right.
And so we were like, they were always trying to help us. Like I could talk about how Mark and Andreessen Horowitz helped us get the Family Guy deal. Like ultimately it's on us, but they are able to make connections and stuff. Randomly, my friend, this guy Eugene, was at A16Z, and he had the Warner Brothers team in and the CEO. And
The
the
CEO of
CEO
Warner
comes
Brothers.
in, yeah, the CEO of Warner Brothers at the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're like, we got to go pitch him. And Mike Chen, who's now at Apple, did the pitch. We were there, did the pitch, because I always wanted the team to like own as much as possible. Like I never wanted to like for instance, like Kanye West once came to Andreessen Horowitz and wanted a video games pitch, and my friend and a colleague Michael Sandwick went and had one of the craziest experiences ever, where Kanye put on a rap show in the boardroom,
Oh my
right? And
God.
like yeah, and like if you heard him tell the story, it's the craziest thing you ever heard. I didn't even go to that meeting because I was like, I know that if I go to that meeting, I'm the worst person to go because I don't listen. I've never been a Kanye fan, and he is like, I'm a Kanye fanatic. And, this is back in the day when Kanye wasn't completely insane and was whatever. But Andreessen Horowitz brought that. So the CEO of Warner Brothers comes, pitches, and he's like, hey, do you know people in our organization already? And I'm like, bro. I'm like, I have been talking to everyone, please. But there was this insane alignment
Yeah.
because at the time, J.K. Rowling saw what was happening at Marvel and saw that the Marvel franchise, the MCU, the
Y-
cinematic universe of Marvel, was
Yeah.
expanding and taking over the world. And now it's like, now it's 2026, it's ebbed. But I
Right.
mean, when it was flowing, it was insane machine.
Which
And she
year
was
was
like,
this? Just to put things in
this
context.
was, yeah, just to put things in context, this is 2014.
2014. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, this is 2014. And so she's like, I want me some of that MCU. And Warner Brothers said to her, like, and I wasn't there for any of these conversations. I'm kind of interjecting my own
Of
context.
course.
But as the story goes, right, it's kind of like she realized that she had an insane universe that was constrained because of the creative constraints. And Warner Brothers was like, yo, we're your partner. We want you to have the best everything always, right? And it was that she needed to be ready to open
Wow.
up a bit, and she was ready, and she realized that she wasn't going to get to the Fantastic Beasts and more universe and everything if she couldn't let some of that creative control go. So it's not just like on
Interesting.
WB, it's like she had to be ready for that. I once pitched a Twilight game. It was one of the best pitches I ever did in my life, but the creator of Twilight wasn't ready for it. And it
Why?
was the coolest game because I think as a creator, it's like if you create something and you put something out there, and like it's a lot of work for you too. And a lot of, if you have to control all of that and you don't know what the quality is, she doesn't know me.
I
Stephanie,
see. I see.
I think, yeah, the creator of Twilight, she doesn't know me. I have to build a relationship with her. She's never met me before. And she has to decide, do I even want to meet this dumbass? Like, do I, you know what I mean? Like
Of
that I
course.
have to go, you know what I mean? Like she has to give, and it's like, that's a lot. Like she might have just a great life, right? Like, does she want to go deal with this? Right? Like, it's work. So
But
like,
I didn't
or
realize how much they need to put work in it. Like if in my thinking, if you're J.K. Rowling, you've created Harry Potter, now you have all of this creative control. But then let's say you go and you pitch like a mobile game like you did. All she has to see is like, oh yeah, this looks great, and then everybody will do the work and she will just give the green light. But it sounds from what you're saying that if like in this context or in the context of Twilight, the creators of the franchises actually have to put in the work to make that happen.
not it's and yes, like the thing you're talking about the apparatus and the framework that they have. I
Yeah,
mean, there's probably 1,000 people working on Harry Potter,
of
right?
course.
Or like
Yeah, yeah,
600 people. But it's not with the work even necessarily. It's the
yeah,
cognitive overhead of the trust and seeing a machine work on your IP that you created
of
without you
course.
being there at every stage, and that the
Yeah,
quality is good and that the fans are happy and that it's going to work out and not ruin everything. And for
right.
someone that hasn't even gone the distance that J.K. Rowling has, Twilight, and also Twilight got like a lot of bad like joke like people. I love Twilight. I'm gonna go on. I don't care. Like I don't. I think Twilight. You know, the movies have the book.
Yeah,
It's got its own weird place in media that I respect,
of
right?
course. Yeah,
But there's a lot of people that shit on it, and like that hurts, and that like is hard, and it's like you got to go put your heart back out there or whatever.
yeah,
It's like that's hard, and if you don't know how to do, and like it's so it's not the work, and sometimes it is for IP that it could be endless for them to like
yeah.
manage. And I know IP holders that are like, I am going to be in every meeting, in every, like, we are going to do half of this for you. Like, just let us do it. It's like like, there are folks that want that control because they're like, we're not ready to give it up. But then you, as the builder, have to be ready for that. And do you know what that does to a game production process?
It's a lot.
Holy crap. And and we were the first to do this with them. So
Yeah,
we were an experiment. It could have failed easily. And it took years off of people's lives,
of
but
course.
like
Yeah,
you
you made
know,
it happen.
but we shipped the product and it made hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, you know?
How
So
many users did you end up getting? How many players did you end up getting on the game?
tens of millions, tens of
Oh wow.
millions. Yeah,
Did
tens of
someone
millions.
like
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling, for example, or the team, like, were they testing every time? Because making a game is hard, right? And so there's bugs, you ship and
Oh,
you add and you remove. Did they have to test every single thing, or did they wait until the end, or like how did it work?
yeah, like the story of the game getting made, like I don't know if I'm supposed to go into all the
Okay,
gory details
okay,
because like
fine.
there's a lot of because like when you're making a game that big with that much money on the line, right? And like the amount of investment, like it's a huge investment, right?
Right.
And it's even worse today. By the way, that this was 10 years ago. It's like 10 times as worse today. And like and like you have the apparatus is enormous. It's on WB's side, right? Like they have their internal game studios. They actually have games expertise internally.
My God.
They have central product management. And of course, like when you have people that know games and you know games, you're going to butt heads also.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, but don't forget, we also just got acquired by by Netmarble and Jam City. So they know games too. So now so now you've got J.K. Rowling, the Blair Partnership, Warner Brothers, Jam City, Netmarble, Warner Brothers Games. Like, it's like how many cooks can be in this kitchen, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
and it is, and the bigger the IP, the bigger the kitchen, the more cooks,
Of course.
right?
More people,
This,
more incentives, and then there's probably some
yeah.
political stuff going on. I don't know.
Sometimes you get very lucky though. It's so weird. Everyone always calls it the Eye of Sauron, right? And
Yeah.
it's like if you're internal at an organization, so like Electronic Arts, for instance, when we were making Dead Space, the
Yeah.
Eye of Sauron was not on us because to them, Glenn was trusted, Glenn Schofield. This is like
Yeah.
2007, 2006, right? Glenn is a trusted entity. He ships games. They have an incredible team that shipped James Bond games, one of the best licensed IP action games ever with Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. He comes in and he's like, And EA's got what? Need for Speed, no characters, no lore, no story,
Yeah,
no
yeah. It's
world
just
building.
racing game. Yeah.
Right. Field, add in, there's no characters, there's no circuit. And Glenn's like, I want to make a character driven survival horror game. And it's just like, you know what I mean? They must have been like, what? You know what I mean? And like, but their studio had that talent. And that studio was deep with talent. And they all
I
wanted to
see.
make this game and they got it greenlit. But the budget from an overall EA-ness scale was modest enough that they were like, and Glenn's making his horror game. But when that happens, and you have a team that passionate and that talented in an
Yeah.
apparatus like that, where you have capital and operational support, but you don't have that like political overhead of too many cooks, you get
Yeah.
Dead Space.
Makes sense. Yeah. And Dead Space ended up becoming one of the biggest franchises in the world.
Like, or like, it's just like, well, I wouldn't say it became one of the biggest franchises in the world, but it became like a classic.
Yeah.
It
A
became
classic. Yeah. Yeah.
it became a classic that tens of millions of people have played because they borrowed the game or bought it on secondary markets or got it
Right.
cheap on Steam or whatever. It's just become a pantheon, part of the pantheon of survival horror. And you don't make a classic that people are referencing for decades later
Yeah.
without that team and that like operational dynamic. And that can happen in the indie realm too. But the fact that it happened at that level with that much support at that
Right.
scale, sometimes you got to have that dynamic where the Eye of Sauron isn't on you, right? Because then you can do crazy shit at scale. You can have
Exactly.
some crazy
You
idea
have
and be
freedom.
like, yeah, well, and you have capital. So you're like,
Right.
yo, what if we did this crazy shit? It's like, how much is that going to cost? Well, that's going to cost like $1 million. Yeah, but that's crazy. Should we do it? Yeah, why not? Like, it's like, but like, you can't usually do that, like,
Yeah.
because someone else is like, you can't do that. What are you nuts? You know what I mean? Like, and then they tell you,
Yeah.
usually what happens, sorry, I'm like going off on tangents, but usually what
All
happens
good.
is the Eye of Sauron, what it does is it tells you to do the thing that is really cool and the amazing idea that you want, but do it
Oh.
scrappy. And then
Yeah.
you're like, you mean do it in a way that is going to be unsuccessful that we can't really execute on the vision of? Because they don't really trust necessarily that like you're right. And they are right a lot. Like
Right.
there are creatives that want to do cool, crazy shit a lot and are like, trust me, bro. And then the people that have to be the adults in the room that are looked at as the kind of like annoying political business
Right.
side as like the
Yeah.
bean counters. They have to
Yeah.
be the adults that are like, slow your roll. Like, let's bring but again, like you look at Lord of the Rings, the original Lord of the Rings trilogy,
Yeah.
that shit doesn't happen unless New Line is like, fuck it, we're YOLOing on this New Zealand creator. We're going to give him all the money and resources. We're going to leave him alone. And like, then you get a masterpiece. But like, we have productized and like created too much machinery around creativity at scale, which is why the indie realm is the place where everything has to kind of happen now because risk is too big there for things that are meaningfully departing from like the mean creatively. And so that has to happen otherwhere where it's less resourced.
That's very powerful what you're saying. That's very powerful. Like it's a bit like startups, right? Like you've been a partner at A16Z, and so you know this firsthand. You put your money everywhere, and there's like that one person out of nowhere, somewhere in the world that ends up building this gigantic company that changes the world. It's exactly the same.
And you have no idea where that's going to come from. I mean,
No.
like you create rubrics and you create like frames and you spread your money around and you make your bets and you find
Yeah.
the best people and you have your thesis. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like this guy who is making games about snails creates the Snailiverse and like it like you know what I mean or like whatever. And now like 1 billion people, you're like, what the shit? It's just chaos. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, that's cool. I think so. Before we start the call, you mentioned me something that I didn't know, which is you've done voice acting for people like Bruce
Voice
Willis.
directing.
Voice
I
directing,
actually
sorry.
have done voice acting, which is really weird. But
Voice directing.
I've voice directing. Yeah.
Okay, for people like Bruce Willis, Benedict Cumberbatch, I'm a big fan. Arnold, I always have a hard time saying his name. Schwarzenegger. Yeah. And so, what is voice directing? How does it work? How are they? How are these people in person? Like, would love to hear the whole story about it.
Yeah, it's a discipline like anything, and you have to learn it because it's like it's very interesting because there's so many dynamics about voice acting that no one thinks about,
Okay.
right? Like, for instance, voice acting used to be very much, it still is, but it used to be very much more its own tradition. Like Mel Blanc or Frank Welker or anyone that's been on The Simpsons or Futurama, like you don't realize that like getting the most out of voice and voice range, right, is like an insane. And instead what happened, and nothing against it, it is what it is, but like you have to think about what happened to voice acting was they were like, if you're an actor, if you're even let's say you're Taylor Swift, right?
Okay.
Or you're Halle Berry or you're Samuel L. Jackson, right?
Yeah.
You're an actor or you're a musician. And like voice acting, which is its own thing, right? Like, but for you, for the people at the studio, they're like, oh wow, what if we said, and this character's voiced by Samuel L. Jackson? And then people know his voice, and it's like, oh,
Of
that's
course.
Samuel L. Jackson. And so they get the marketability of that. And Samuel L. Jackson gets a nice sized paycheck without ever having to visit a set and deal with shot setups and deal with it's so much easier in a sense
Of
to
course.
make money
Yeah.
doing a VO session, but he's not a VO, he's not a voice actor. And like, so that's number one, is it's like it is a discipline and it's been, I know I sound like old man shakes fist at sky, but like
That's
it
okay.
was a tradition and it
Okay.
is an incredible thing that some people are good at and have like, and it's their craft and they bring out voices that are iconic. Like Mike Judge is a genius in a variety of character acting capacities, but he understood and understands. Look at King of the Hill. Like it's, anyway, so I just wanted to start there. Essentially, we did the same. We did the thing where it's like we were licensing these big IPs at TinyCo, and so we needed to sell digital goods of these characters, right? That's what we did.
Okay. Yeah.
We sold characters. We sold Arnold Schwarzenegger. We sold, but like you want him, you want to interact with him in the game. You want to hear him. You want to hear what he does. You want to see him doing his thing. Because in a game like Family Guy, that like is comedic and fun and funny and pokes fun at like life and everything, we're having fun with all of this pop culture,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
We did an entire event that had almost the entire pantheon of Star Trek actors that was in
Oh,
it.
wow.
Yeah, we even, yeah, like, and I'll get to a funny story about that as well. But so, yeah, so voice directing is basically like the person's coming in, you have to think about it. It's a session, especially a short session like this. Very different
Like
than a
how
long
many, like how
session.
long when we say like session, a short session, is it like they need to record their voice for like 10 minutes? Are we talking an hour? How much are we talking?
No matter what happens, getting there, getting settled, getting in the studio, the engineer, the sound engineer, it's much easier and faster now with the tech we have and like whatever. But before you were
Obviously.
going to a sound stage and like, if you're doing it professionally and like well now, you're still going to a sound stage. There's still audio engineering. Again, the more that the tools have flattened and like the creative tools have flattened the curve for everyone, the more the discipline has become more of a open, oh yeah, I'm an audio engineer. Like it's like, yeah, like if you have like the tools and like whatever, anyone could be an audio engineer now and AI and this and that. But
Yeah.
again, these were disciplines. This is like an audio engineer. And these people, that was their whole life, was audio engineering and being the best at getting the best out of a session technically. Whereas
Makes
the
sense.
director essentially gives the script or the sides to the actor and they need context. But if it's like a huge game, like let's say you're playing Geralt in Witcher, right? You're going to be in there for months and months and
Oh, yeah.
months and
Absolutely that.
months.
Yeah.
And you're going to know that character like deeply. And like you're going to show up and you're going to get into character and you're going to live those lines. But if you're doing a session like ours, you're there for 2 hours, 3 hours tops, and you're doing essentially like max like 20 minutes of dialogue, right?
Okay.
30 minutes of dialogue. I've done longer sessions, I've done shorter sessions, but like ultimately they're in there and they're like, this is a great deal because I'm getting paid for like 30 minutes. And sometimes we would set up the recording studios in their houses, in their guest
Oh,
houses, in their,
wow.
yeah, yeah. Like at Arnold Schwarzenegger was in his guest house. Yeah. And he just came in
Okay.
and like, he was like, what's up? and like the nicest person, and basically it's your job to like, as a voice director, to essentially give them context, make sure they understand why they're there, what they're doing there as quick as possible, right? Because you just like, hey, I don't want to, like, this is your time. You're being gracious enough to give it to us for our video game or whatever, right? You want to create a great environment. You want to ensure context. You want to support them, but then you want to get the best line reads,
Of
right? And
course. Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this line read isn't that great. Or if they're not a voice actor, you're like, they might be dry as hell. Like they might be like reading it. They might be an athlete that's never done any type of acting before. So it's like, how do you get the most out of it? And it's kind of like part education, part removing friction, context, and then not getting in their way or giving them what they need.
Mm,
So for instance, some actors like Arnold was like, just tell me, give it to me. He was just like, just give it to me, give it all to me, and I'm going to give it back to you because I am smart, I am funny. And so it's like, but he wanted the context like
okay.
fully, where he wanted me to like almost read the lines, but then he got it and then did what he does and started having fun with it and started making jokes. And then you get the ad-libbing and the riffing and the whatever. But some actors that are real actors and voice actors, if you read a line for them, they will kill you. Like that is a faux pas. And if you get frustrated enough, right?
Yeah.
Like then you might do something that then pisses them off, and now the dynamic and energy sucks, and then you fucked up because your job is not to do that, not to bring that shit to the table, right?
Of
And
course.
like
Yeah.
I did, and I haven't said the story anywhere really, except on, but like no. Anyway, LeVar, so I
It's
was
all
I
good.
was doing a voice session with LeVar Burton,
Yeah.
and he was having a bad day or whatever. I've heard he's like the sweetest person in the world, nicest person ever. I'm this like annoying guy, like whatever. And like his line reads just weren't like, he didn't want to be there, or like he was tired. Like, I don't know. It's someone's day. And it's like, and I just wasn't getting like what I thought I needed. So then I did a line read,
Oh,
and he just went, and he just pointed at me, and he looks over at like the tech and the writers, and he's like, this motherfucker right here. And the writers at
oh my
Family
God.
Guy, they turned to me and they were like, hey, well, LeVar Burton called you a motherfucker, so at least you'll be able to tell that story for the rest of your life. But I got kicked out. But I got kicked out of the booth. I
Oh
got
my.
kicked out of the booth. Yeah.
Did you feel
And
like
like they were
shit?
like,
How did
get
you
out. They
feel?
were like, get out of here. They were like, get out of here. But like that was one of, and like you learn, and like, yes, I'm an
Yeah.
idiot, but like, like, yeah, at the time I wasn't someone who had that much experience doing this.
Right.
But by
Yeah.
the end of several years of doing it, I had experience. That was a big learning for me, a big lesson, right? Like you don't want LeVar Burton calling you a motherfucker.
You don't want to build that kind of reputation, but
No,
it's so cool.
no, but
Yeah.
but yeah, but it's something that is like both funny but also sad and ridiculous, and nothing against Mr. Burton. I'm
Yeah.
sure
Yeah.
he's a
Of
lovely
course.
man.
Yeah.
I messed up. I messed up.
That's okay. Yeah, yeah, that's okay. No, but it's really cool. Like, I didn't know you'd show up, like, potentially at their guest houses in the case, and like you show them and you give them, and like, I always forget that, ultimately they're people and they all have like their different moods, different attitudes, different things they like and they don't like. So you tell me one actor like Arnold likes, doesn't matter if you do one line with him, but like with someone like other person, they care. And it's like, I always forget that. For me, they're just professionals and they know what they're doing. But actually, it's just, they're people. They're normal people.
So people, Benedict Cumberbatch was on his way to meet his sister for dinner. You know what
Oh,
I
wow.
mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, like, and he's, like, it's like he was, and like, he's a person. He's a gracious
Yeah.
person
I'm a
doing
huge fan.
he's not he's not just that actor, right? He was a guy, right?
Yeah,
And he was having a day, and he was on his way to meet someone, right? You know what I mean? And so it's like, you're just like, oh, I just want him to have a good experience, and I
right.
want to get
Yeah,
what I need, but
yeah,
you have to know how to manage your way there, and sometimes you're successful and sometimes you're not, like with
for
anything.
sure. For
and
sure.
and
And
the
how is
people
it?
that are better more
Yeah.
consistently get what they need and keep the actors happy and the engineers happy and the writers happy and that everyone's happy.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And was Benedict Cumberbatch more like someone who doesn't like the lines, or which side was he in?
No, he was so he obviously he's an actor, right? Like an
Right. Yeah.
actor. Like he's an actor's actor, like anyone, like you know. So for him, it's more context, and then
Right.
him having fun, and like because for him this is funny. It's Family Guy. It's like whatever, right? So for
Just wants to
him,
do the
he's
voice of
like
Family Guy. That's it. He just wants to have
right,
fun. Yeah.
and so you try to get the energy, and I'm like for him, it's just like I just need to make this as quick, as painless, and as pleasant as possible, and then let him do his thing, right?
Right.
Because and let him
Yeah.
have fun with it. Because if I try too hard to control it's not about me. I think that's the number one thing, the number one takeaway of any type of management, any type of direction, any type of whatever. It's not about you. It's got nothing to do with you. Even making a Harry Potter game, even doing like whatever, it's not about you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like get out of the way. And like the thing with the LeVar Burton is more me just not having the skill at the time rather than, like but there are people that make it about them that are like, I'm the voice director, like I'm the this, I'm the executive producer, I'm the game director. Like and it's like and like sometimes it's like their identity gets too wrapped up in making the thing and then they squeeze it to death,
Yeah.
right? And but yeah, that
Ego
control.
gets in the way.
Yeah, and it's like all ego is just like the identity wrapping itself in the thing because without that thing, they're just
Right.
another
Yeah.
person then they need to like be that person. And it's like, and it is important to do a good job and it is important to have some of your identity wrapped into things. But if you make it about you, then other people are going to just have a bad experience. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and this is like a life lesson in general, right? Like not
Yeah.
taking things
Yeah.
personally, etc. Whether it's about relationships or work, or in these cases, like it's a life lesson in general.
Yeah, it's about getting out of your own head and being like, wait, what is their experience? It's also good about product development. It's like, because you
Right.
can make it a lot about like what you think is cool, especially in games or whatever, right? What you think is cool, what you think is like the right thing or whatever, but you're like completely not looking at your users,
Makes
right? Or
sense.
listening to
Yeah.
your users or whatever, right? You're making
Yeah.
it about yourself and they're going to teach you a lesson one way or another,
I
you
love
know?
it. Yeah. Last question on this front is, so you've worked with also the creator of The Simpsons, Matt
Yeah. Matt
Groening.
Groening.
I,
Yeah.
when I read his name, I was like, wait, I've read this name my entire childhood, but I just couldn't put, and I was like, The Simpsons, of course, at the end of every episode, there is his name. So what's the context there? Like, what did you work on together? What happened? How was it? I'm curious.
It's crazy because I actually met him twice at two different junctures in my games career. One was at Electronic Arts working on the
Right.
Simpsons game, in which
Okay.
I was just the digital marketing guy,
Right.
right?
That's cool.
And yeah, it was cool, but like there was, so many people worked on the Simpsons game. That and it was its own crazy thing. Just like if you want to talk about an IP that was very hard to get and very hard to work with, I know sure the people at Disney right now are probably, if they ever hear this, are like, boo. But like, it's not because it wasn't Disney though. It wasn't Disney back
Yeah.
then. Disney
Yeah.
bought Fox, and like, it was actually this firm called Gracie.
Okay.
They were the really
Okay.
hard ones. It wasn't Fox. It's not Disney. It's Gracie,
Okay. I
right?
didn't know that.
As I
Okay.
told you, there's multiple levels to stakeholders, right? Anyway, but I met Matt doing that just as a marketer, and like we had, I met him like for some marketing stuff, and then at some events. But then at TinyCo, we did a Futurama game, which him and David X. Cohen, who's a genius that worked on The Simpsons. Like, you have to understand, this is a network of just genius comedic people that literally created modern comedic culture. Like, it's everyone from Conan O'Brien to
Wow. Yeah.
John Schwartzfelder to David X. Cohen to Patrick Veroni to Ken Keeler to like these people are literal like geniuses. Harvard like educated, like I don't know what Harvard means anymore, but like there was again a tradition of comedy and like and this is a writer's room that created some of the most classic comedic television that became American culture for like a decade. And so Matt Groening and David X. Cohen were a part of that, and they splintered off to do Futurama, which was its
Okay.
own torch carrying of that in a different direction, which is more its own like sci-fi satire nerdiness
I
thing.
see.
And I grew up on all this, and I'm a huge fan. So it's like I'm the luckiest person in the world that I get to do this, right? And they are incredible people to work with. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke at all. These people, they are not just people, they are workers. Like they are creatives. They are builders. They are like, so when you work with them and you work with Rough Draft Studios, like they're in it to like keep the quality bar the same always, right?
Well, that's
Like
insane.
they,
Yeah.
that's what they do. And like the game didn't do particularly well, but the content, the execution, if you look online at the animated content, like any of the commercials or like trailers we did or anything, it's sublime. We
Yeah.
had Neil deGrasse Tyson, Stephen Hawking, George Takei, and Bill Nye all do a spot together animated where they all like
Oh my,
had
that's
to
so cool.
argue. They all were arguing over who got to be the representative of science to the general public. Because you know how like they all like essentially are like,
They all
hey,
want to be.
I'm the science guy, and they all were like, no, I'm the science guy. Anyway, it was really funny, but
Yeah,
but working with them is incredible, and you learn so much.
of
Like I
course.
learned
Yeah.
so much
You
being
know,
just
you
around
could
these
think
guys.
about when people have such level of success, like someone like Matt creating The Simpsons. Like some could think that he would just go and chill. He wouldn't. You can just chill. But like the fact that he's like just still there, it's a little bit like what you told me about J.K. Rowling, where it's like they all like still working, they care about their IP, they care, and they're willing to put in the hours. This is probably something one of my biggest learnings. Like I had no idea. In my head, they were just chilling, and they don't need to work,
No,
both
no,
financially, but
Matt
also
always cares. Yeah,
yeah. That's
yeah.
like
I
that's
mean, there's
super
a bigger
inspiring.
team. Again, there's a bigger team now, but
Always, yeah.
Matt hasn't stopped. And David and all of his, like, they all went and did Disenchantment at Netflix, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
like,
true.
it's like he started in the late 70s and early 80s doing Life in Hell. No one's even ever heard of that. I love it. It's like one of my like favorite things. Life in Hell, Simpsons, Futurama, Disenchantment, Bongo Comics. Guy hasn't stopped.
That's insane. That's to
Creatively,
me.
like
That's insane.
creatively,
Yeah,
and he's
that's
been a
insane.
part of The Simpsons still.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. Because
even though the
The
team, like
Simpsons
the
is still
show,
being shooted, right? They're still shooting. They're still creating the Simpsons episodes.
literally the showrunner of The Simpsons said that they're never going to stop. Like, literally, they're going to keep doing it until like they all die. I guess. Like, I don't like.
Wow.
It's a horrible thing to say. I don't. But like, you
Yeah,
know, like it's in. It's been going forever since I was a wee lad. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like, it's like
This is crazy.
my whole
Okay,
life.
so one of the things I want to touch with you on is you're someone who's worked on a lot of different, like you've been across media. You mentioned working on like shows, on movies, on games, on a bit of everything, right? And I think this is very interesting because you usually find one that's just focused on games, one that's focused on like movies, but you've done everything. So you've seen that, and like you see where technology is. You know, I know you've started a company in webcomics. I'm curious on what you're seeing as the future of entertainment. You know, you could take a lot of stands on this, but like, do you see a new form of entertainment that's gonna come out? If not, are you seeing one that's gonna change and be, more interesting than the current one? Like, I'm curious on your take on the future of media and entertainment with all the new technologies that you're seeing, from new video generation, audio generation, AI in general, etc. So where do you see the future going?
Yeah, I'm actually quite optimistic, which is weird because there's a lot of reasons to be like also like we're in a valley right now,
Yeah,
right? We're in that canyon, whatever they call that, or like I don't know, but like we're in a really weird moment right now. Like a really weird moment for
tell me
media.
more.
It's like, okay, so basically you have like three streams converging at once, right? You have stream one, which is the distribution mechanisms and monetization mechanisms of old media don't work. They don't work anymore. They just don't. Like you as a studio cannot take creative risks at scale, right? And so like the people with the most capital take the least amount of risk. And still, as we have seen in the past 3 years, have insane distribution issues. So like you could spend $200 million on a game and have 30 players. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I'm not even kidding. Like, I wish I was like joking. Like, it's that bad, right? And then you have like an indie that like made a game in 6 months with two of his friends, and that has 130,000 concurrents, right? It's like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, okay, well, what the F, right? But like, so what you're looking at though is a real flattening of the distribution of revenue per product or per entity, right?
Yeah.
Which now means the consolidation risk
Okay.
for like the old guard is like it's perilous. So now they can take even less risk, right? But now the under-resourced are the ones making the games that people are connecting. But fidelity has decoupled from scale and monetization and audience. It used to be that everything needed to be this pristine, perfect, scaled, beautiful, incredible, epic thing. And now it's just like, is it fun? Do I like it? Is it cool? Does it entertain me? Am I part of the community? Is it of me? Is it for me? Do I love just the creator themselves?
Yeah.
Do I have a parasocial relationship with that creator? It's all of these different things. It's all of these different intent drivers and motivation drivers. It like goes completely like it used to be completely vertical, and now intent is completely horizontal.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
And so consolidation. So the industry is growing, but it's not a it's not like a capital efficient or capital it's risky for everyone. I don't care who you are across the spectrum building, right? Because if you're a team of 3 with the current tools, it's still going to take you a minimum of a year to get a
Of course.
product out of
Yeah.
whatever quality, and you still are likely not going to have a single player show up. Or you're going to take a $200 million bet and have X amount of people, and you're still going to have no one show up. No one knows on the board, and people are getting much better at the publishing side, which
Right.
publishing used to mean everything that it still means, but now it's the triangulation of what product should even be. They're really getting smarter at what do we eat? What do people even want? It used to be
Yeah.
like, they want this. They want whatever we tell them they want. And now it's like, now they're like, what do they want? And it's like, and how do you get that right? And
Is it a
then
problem of supply? Like, there's just too many games. There's just so much, and like,
supply is such a big part of the problem. Such a big
right.
part of the problem.
Okay. Yeah.
There used to be it, yeah, like it used to be a different dynamic around supply scale, but now supply is literally untethered. It's like there is endless supply, and supply is just going to get more endless. But I think that there's an end to this because right now it's dark. It is, in my
I
opinion,
can.
it is bleak, right? It's cool. It's cool that you can be a team of 3 or a team of 5 or a team of 10 or a team of whatever and make a game, and it's not as expensive and you can connect with an audience. That's cool. Like that used to not be the case. Like you needed to get distribution in a store, in a storefront, or
Yeah.
physically. You need to work with some organization. You need to convince them to market your game for you. But now no, like you could just show up and all of a sudden you have 100,000 customers and you made $1 million. There is a dynamic in that is magical, absolutely magical, but it's just there's too much across the board. There's too much of everything. Everyone is choking on content, choking on engagement, choking on messaging and media but for me, I believe there is an end to the rainbow, which is once there is, and maybe it never comes. That's the other thing. I don't know. And like people love to pretend that AGI is like with us in the room with us right now.
Yeah.
But if you actually work with AI, like you're like, what are you talking about, man? Like
Not
it's just
here.
like, yeah, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? It's just such a weird dissonance between like all the different messaging around AI. And
Yeah.
I'm not certain that it's going to get where it needs to go, but it very easily could, and I hope it does. Even though it's very, very scary in a lot of ways because we don't know so much about what is going to happen. But I like to be optimistic because the optimistic side of me likes to believe that if anyone pretty much can make anything, like literally, we really, really pull back that like ability to create and that ability for it to be whatever quality someone wants it to be, and that they can put whatever amount of time they want to into it and whatever amount of heart they want to into it, that you will then get back around to every form. It's almost like a law of infinity. Everything will exist. And if everything exists, that means that you are going to get so much incredible mind-bending stuff that is just so nourishing and good that we haven't really felt because we're serving markets. And when people don't have to serve markets and they can get back to just serving art or
Yeah.
creativity or magic and value, which used to be productized and sold back, but got to, like, and instead of just serving markets and serving market success, which obviously does happen in the indie realm and sometimes happens in the corporate realm, but when I think you're just going to have more of it. And yes, a lot of it is still going to have a problem finding an audience. But in the future, it might not be. And yes, I don't understand. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I understand the economics of this. I do not. All I know is that if it doesn't cost anything, then there's no risk. So if there's no cost and no risk, then you can just do it. And that's the coolest part. And then maybe something happens. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's not as good of a business. Maybe it is. Maybe there is platform lockup. Maybe there isn't. Maybe there is open distribution. Maybe there isn't. But what I believe is that if everyone can do the best vision they want and they can do it inexpensively, that then I, as a consumer of stories, of magic, of people's beauty, right? I will find that. I will find it, and I will be like, yes, I am finding my people again. Once again, through the noise, I am finding my people because whoever created this is a genius, and I want to be around them. And
Yeah.
because they're gonna have a small community,
Yeah.
likely, I could talk to them, and now we can just relate. And like that, I'm very out, and they could probably make money. I don't know the business side of it, and maybe it's not a business for everybody. But like, I at least just want to get back to connecting with other nerds around cool ideas and things that like I connect to, because that's the value for me, is connecting with the connective magic between it all. There's this, I know I'm going to get really heady here, but this is just what I do. There's a principle in Greek philosophy that was called acedia.
Okay.
And acedia was the idea that like the numbness to the magic of the world, not recognizing that even this conversation we're having right now is rad, right?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, like just connecting. Like when I met you the first time, I was like, oh man, he's rad. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's got it. Let's talk. Let's, like whatever. Like, but there are people that are so cynical or
Yeah.
skeptical or cut
Yeah.
off from
Yeah.
that, and they're scared or angry or lost or don't have connections or whatever. And that's the acedia. It's like we've lost some magic somewhere, and somewhere it exists. But it's like I want more of that. And I do think that if AI can get there, can flatten the cost thing, then there will be more magic. There will be more people doing more weird stuff and putting themselves out there. And that's the thing I
It's
care about.
very interesting. Yeah.
And yeah, and that's what I'm hopeful about. And
Yeah.
maybe
I mean,
there's a
during
business there.
you've been bringing up a lot the interesting theme of like indie, like you talked about Lord of the Rings, how Lord of the Rings was just some guy in New Zealand that you invested in. So suddenly you have way more of these people, less going on in like the big studios. I mean, they're probably still doing their things, but like way more of these indies doing their crazy stuff. And so we can have more of these like Lord of the Rings, more of these Harry Potters, etc. So basically, like in that case, in the future you're describing, there will be more of these franchises with less absolute number of fans, as in like there will be less like one Harry Potter for everyone, more like smaller Harry Potters for each of their audience. So I will have way more things personally that I like, but that's like small communities watching a lot of stuff rather than, which so far historically it's been like 3-4 franchises that everybody looks at. But like in the future described, there will be like 1,000 of these franchises that smaller communities look like, but they're equally like good.
And I think the coolest part also would be if I take that same cost perspective and
Yeah.
extrapolate it that
Yeah.
then you or me can also extend that franchise ourselves and and give money back to the IP holder
Makes sense. Yeah.
directly and have a relationship that way. Because if they're open and because they understand they have no control over it anyway, and people start doing good stuff and they're the tastemaker of their
Yeah.
universe and they validate and say, yo, you got to check out this person's take on my universe. You got to check out this person's take on my universe. Now you're building a whole other type of creative community. And like that's the
That's very
dream that
interesting.
I think
Yeah.
is just unbelievable, and I hope and can't wait
Wow.
to get to because that's gonna be incredible. That's gonna be incredible if that happens. That's
I
gonna
mean,
be
you already
incredible.
see that today. Like, even if we remove media entertainment for a second, and you think about indie hackers like Levels.io, Peter Levels. The reason why Peter Levels is so big is because, well, he built a lot of stuff, but he's so active on Twitter, and though people go on his tweets, ask him for features, he goes, builds it, and then comes back and answers. So it's not the product; it's the fact that you, as a fan or as a user, feel like you're part of the product. And so we haven't seen that yet in media entertainment. Right now, it's like just one person creating this thing and you watch it and that's great. But like if I can somehow, let's say, go influence the story and then my friend that likes it influences their story, it's like you're taking what's happening in startups a little bit and extending it to like media entertainment. So it becomes like building in the open, what's happening in like tech, like building in the open, these founders that are going on LinkedIn, on Twitter, talking about their product, getting feedback from their users and putting them in their product as features. Extending that to media entertainment, I think that would be super cool because there's so many people that I think will have ideas on what to do. Like Game of Thrones ending. I didn't watch Game of Thrones, but like a lot of people didn't like the ending.
You didn't miss anything. The first the first four seasons were absolutely incredible. I'll
Yeah,
get
yeah, yeah.
lambasted for this. Season 5, it kind of whatever, and then it just like rolls right off a cliff.
There is a
Yeah,
world where if the fans could jump on that, they would have been much better. And I'm fairly confident.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. I have seen Star Wars people do animatics where they would have taken like Star Wars Episode 2 or like Attack of the Clones or whatever, and like
Yeah.
I'm like that is a way better story than what I got. But also, it's like, look at games like these behaviors do exist in the modding community, same exact way,
Yes. On
right?
Discord.
It's just they're too expensive. No one ever gets to finish their gigantic Morrowind project. I mean, it got finished, but it's like it's not flat enough yet where you can really
Yeah.
extend. But some of the biggest gameplay innovations of all time came from modding. Like that's where like gameplay innovation really came from the community. It's more the gameplay innovation, but not the IP extension as much. You get some of it in DLC and like modding, but it's not, and it's great. I like again, it is that community. It is a creative community. It is real. It is amazing, but it's not what you were just saying yet of just like freely extending IP. And you do have it in fanfic and Wattpad and whatever, but again, that's super niche. Still a big user base, but niche and not again like the full dream of studio scale IP development by the individual, which is just like the coolest thing ever, where it's like
Insane. Yeah.
yeah, like we can, yeah, like that we can get studio scale IP development. But
Yeah.
there's some really cool stuff. Like there's a woman, Sophia Jing, that's working on this thing called Plot Party, which is an
Okay.
AI driven kind of community video and creative building app. And there's some cool stuff coming out of it already. But again, it's the technology is not entirely there yet. But again, even the capability just today, where it's going, you see all the seeds of it everywhere,
Yeah.
you know?
No, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Last question to you before we wrap up. After with someone like has seen everything from working at these studios to being an investor to being a founder, you're sitting in front of 27, 28-year-old Andrew, but now you have all of these tools and you know what's kind of coming. What would you tell him?
Wait, what would I tell the Andrew of yesterday or an Andrew of today that has those tools?
An Andrew, a 27-year-old Andrew with these tools. Basically, like what advice would you give to people that are
got it.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's the same advice that like I think you would give them even, which is don't think, go do. Just don't even think. Don't at the minute you start thinking, just don't think.
No.
Don't
Just
think.
go.
Don't think about any. Don't think about, and especially don't think about someone else or the Twitter or like, just don't think, just to be like, what is the fastest path to me doing anything
Yeah.
whatsoever? Do not think. Stop thinking. Don't talk to anyone. Don't talk to anyone. Don't talk to a single person. Don't ask a question. Just you and yourself. Get started. And then the first thing you should do when you want to talk to someone else finally is say, here's the thing I did. I'm having a problem with X, right? Or Y. Like, do not start with, what do you think about, or how should I, or what. Don't talk to anyone. Just go do. Because the minute you start talking, like, you just don't want to introduce any friction. Just go, break, do. And I'm not even a fan of the move fast, break things thing, but I am a huge fan of do not create resistance for action, ever. Do not. No resistance. Go.
I love it. Yeah. There's the famous quote that I hear a lot in SF. I like it. You can just do things. You can just do. I love it.
And there's a punk rock song that I absolutely love from the 70s. That's called "Do Anything You Want to Do."
So simple.
It's the truth. Just do anything you want to do. Do it. Do anything you want to do. No one. It doesn't matter. No one gives a shit. No one gives a shit. You think they're gonna give a shit. You give a shit. You've definitely created phantoms that give a shit. You know what I mean? But like, no one gives a shit what you do. So just go do it. Like, literally, go do it. And do it your way. Because the weirder and dumber and crazier you do it, the more you're going to find your way to do it. And just do it.
Yeah. I love it. I definitely say that a lot to a lot of people, and they just don't realize it. They're like, "Oh, I've been thinking about this." No, just go.
No. You could just do. No. You could just do it. You could just do that thing. Do whatever you want. Yeah. And that's why I tell everyone also. It's like, there has never been more resources, more information available, more capability, more everything. If you are like paralyzed right now, it's because your brain is broken. You like have to think, just help yourself by stopping thinking and just do it. And like, then you will get on the right course eventually. Like, it's just like, that's it. Yeah.
I love it. I think a lot of people will definitely like resonate with this. I think it's like a simple, yet it's one of those simple, but then sometimes you need to hear it. Right?
Yeah.
Like
I still need to hear it. Of
course, me too. Everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like humans.
Yeah. I'm still like, ooh, not yet. Let me, and then I'm like, well, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Andrew. Thank you for the conversation. Really appreciate you taking the time, sharing the stories. It's been awesome hearing everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you so much.